Hi there, it's Marley. Welcome to my booktube channel. Today we're doing my December TBR, aka the last TBR of the year. So these are my reading plans for the final month of the year. Before we get into it, let me know what's one book on your December TBR that you must read by the end of the year. To start out with my TBR, as always, I do have a monthly themed reading blog. The last couple years, I've done the same reading blog where I read Indigo's best books of the year. But this year, I decided I was kind of tired of that video and I wanted to do something different. So I'm not going to tell you the theme of it in this video. I want it to be a surprise, but I'm going to tell you the 5 books I plan to read for it. And feel free to guess in the comments if you have an idea of what you think the theme for the vlog is. And excuse me if I'm reading the synopses a lot from Goodreads in this video. I didn't do a ton of planning before. But the first one I'm thinking of reading is Kitchen by Banana Yoshimoto. This is a Japanese translated book that I actually got a recommendation from my coworker for this. It is an enchantingly original and deeply affecting book about mothers' love tragedy and the power of the kitchen and the home in the lives of a pair of free-spirited young women in contemporary Japan. Milkage, the heroine of Kitchen, is an orphan raised by her grandmother who has passed away. Grieving, she's taken in by her friend Yorchi and his mother, who was once his father, Eriko. Okay, we got a lot of different layers to this story going on. As the three of them form an improvised family that soon weathers its own tragic loss, Yoshimoto spins a lovely, evocative tale that recalls early Marguerite Duras. Not sure who that is. Kitchen and its companion story, Moonlight Shadow, are elegant tales whose seeming simplicity is the ruse of a writer whose voice echoes in the mind and soul. So that one should be a pretty moving story. The next one I'm probably going to read is Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk. This is, of course, the famous movie, which I have seen, and I think I enjoyed it back then. I think I did guess the twist though, because this book is a little bit older, so I feel like I had seen that type of twist before. But yeah, what does this one say? It's a strange narrator leaves his lackluster job when he comes under the thrall of Tyler Durden, an enigmatic young man who holds secret after-hours boxing matches in the basement of bars. There, 2 men fight as long as they have to. This is a gloriously original work that exposes the darkness at the core of our modern world. What happens at Fight Club stays at Fight Club. So, I mean, that should be interesting to read, the novel version of the story. Another book I want to read that should be interesting is The Anxious Generation: How the Great Rewiring of Childhood Caused an Epidemic of Mental Illness, and this is by Jonathan Haidt. It's a pretty popular nonfiction book from the past year. So basically, this book is just talking about how this younger generation, I guess mainly Gen Z, but also probably millennial, I think this definitely started in my generation, how people are so much more anxious, and a lot of it has to do with the internet and social media. So I think this will be pretty interesting, probably relatable, but it might be a lot of stuff that I already know and maybe it's just a given. But the synopsis here says a must read for all parents. I'm not a parent yet, but oh well. The generation defining investigation into the collapse of youth mental health in the era of smartphones, social media, and big tech, and a plan for a healthier, freer childhood. Okay, so maybe there'll be some advice as well to be less mentally ill. All right, next book. This is a kind of fun cover. It's called She's a Lamb by Meredith Hambrock. Have I read the synopsis for this? Probably not in a while. A darkly comic suspense in the vein of All's Well in Yellowface, She's a Lamb is an edgy and incisive novel that marches towards showtime with a growing unease about the dangers of magical thinking and the depths of delusion. The main character is meant to be a star, not an actor who occasionally books yoga commercials, and certainly not a lowly usher at one of Vancouver's smallest regional theaters. No, she is bound for greatness, and that's why the part of Maria in the theater's upcoming production of The Sound of Music is hers, or going to be. Jessamine may have been relegated to the position of childminder for the little brats playing the Von Trapp children, but it's so obvious she's there for a different reason. The director wants her close to the role, so when Samantha, the lead, inevitably fails, Jessamine will be there to take her place in the spotlight. This must be it, because if it isn't, well then every skipped meal, every brutal rehearsal, every inch won against a man attempting to drag her down will have been for nothing. Sharp, relentless, and darkly funny, She's a Lamb is cutting satire about the grotesque patriarchy cast over one woman's delusional quest to achieve her dreams and the depths she will sink to for a chance at the life she's convinced she deserves. It definitely is giving Yellowface. Yeah, so this This should be interesting, should be dramatic. And then I just recently actually changed this on my TBR. This is a new edition. I'm thinking of going with Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. Definitely heard this one talked about before. The synopsis is in 2024, with the world descending into madness and anarchy, one woman begins a fateful journey towards a better future. Lauren and her family live in one of the only safe neighborhoods remaining on the outskirts of Los Angeles. Behind the walls of their defended enclave, Lauren's father, a preacher, and a handful of other citizens try to salvage what remains of a culture that's been destroyed by drugs, disease, war, and chronic water shortages. So it is like a dystopian novel. While her father tries to lead people on the righteous path, Lauren struggles with hyper-empathy, a condition that makes her extraordinarily sensitive to the pain of others. When fire destroys their compound, Lauren's family is killed and she is forced out into a world that is fraught with danger. With a handful of other refugees, Lauren must make her way north to safety, along the way conceiving a revolutionary idea that may mean salvation for all mankind. I've heard some really good things about Octavia Butler. I feel like I'm definitely having more of a cultural reading experience this month, which is definitely the point of the reading vlog. So that is my TBR for the reading vlog. So stay tuned to see that video, subscribe so you don't miss it. The next book is going to be the book club book for the club I have with my friends. We decided to read a romance Christmas novel because obviously it's the month of Christmas. So we went with A Merry Little Lie, which is by Sarah Morgan. Never read from this author before, but it sounded fun. It says, this Christmas, the Balfour family will have more secrets to unwrap than presents. Becky is stranded at the airport, so when she bumps into her brother's best friend, Will, love that, when he suggests they drive home together, Becky reluctantly agrees. For the first time, Becky's dreading Christmas, and only Will knows why. Can she trust him to keep her secret? Her twin sister Rosie married Declan after a whirlwind romance, and now the cracks are starting to appear. Rosie and Declan have agreed to hide their problems from her family, but Rosie's insecurities are growing. Will this Christmas bring them closer or drive them apart? Then we have Haley. Can't wait for her first Balfour family Christmas with Jamie. The Balfour Christmas traditions sound wonderful, but she's worried about her place in this close-knit family. Will there be room for her too? And how will they react to the secrets she and Jamie have been keeping? So basically it has multiple different fun romance Christmas storylines. So I think this one could be pretty promising. If you're not liking one of the storylines, one of the couples, there's other things to interest you. So I think that one should be good. Then basically I don't want to hold myself to anything for the rest of the month because I will be traveling for the last 2 weeks of December. So I just have a couple books I'm gonna get my hands on to be kind of like mood reads. Hopefully I'll have time to pick them up. First one is gonna be Julie Chan is Dead by Liann Zhang. Now this is one I don't have to read the synopsis of because I have heard a lot about it from BookTube and also from people in real life. I know it's about a girl who has a twin sister who's an influencer, and when she goes to meet her up with her sister, even though they are estranged, I think they were brought up by different people, she ends up finding her sister dead / murdered, and so she just kind of takes up the identity of her sister, who was this really rich like influencer, and so then she just has to like pretend to be her sister, and I assume try to figure out the mystery of who murdered her sister. Presumably that person is now after her. I think this should be fun. It sounds like it would be a cozy mystery vibe, but I'm pretty sure I've heard it's not. I think it does have a vibe more similar to an actual thriller, and I think I've heard it gets pretty weird. So I'm definitely intrigued by that. It's been talked about a lot in the last year. Another one on my radar for this is Mate by Ali Hazelwood. Of course, I think this recently came out. It's the sequel to Bride, which was a paranormal romance from her that was about a vampire werewolf and a marriage of convenience kind of trope. I mean, I always enjoy Ali Hazelwood's books. There's something I do really connect with in her writing, but the werewolf Omegaverse, whatever stuff was going on there, wasn't really my cup of tea. So I think I rated it 3.5, which is still not terrible. So I am still interested in reading the sequel. Can't quite recall who it's following. I think it might be the main character's best friend from the first one. And yeah, I think it's another werewolf romance. Have not heard many specific reviews of the book yet, but I think people have been liking it. if they liked the first one. So that's what I'm thinking. I also wouldn't mind finishing off the Harry Potter series. I know I don't want to promote that series too much. It doesn't need it or anything, but I have been making my way through that series for the last couple of years. So I am hoping to finally read the final book. So that is my final TBR of the year. Let me know if you have thoughts on any of these books. And again, if you want to guess the theme for my reading blog. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys watching, commenting, subscribing, liking the video, all that kind of stuff. I hope you have a great final month of the year. Hope you reach your reading goals. I'll see you soon with a new video very soon. Bye.